Good afternoon, family. Chauncey Pham here with Family Realty Group and eXp Realty with another Connect for Real interview. And today we have a wonderful guest, the lovely Kyle Whissel out of San Diego, California. How are you this afternoon, Kyle?
It's a very red day. I got the red shirt. You got the red lips, the red glasses, the red nails. It's a red day today, huh? You think this is like a Keller Williams interview or something?
You would think so, but it is anything but. Guys, Kyle, you are in for a treat today. We're going to chat a little bit with Kyle Whissel about his wins, his losses, where he is with his business out in San Diego. So I think it's going to be a really, really good one for you guys to hear someone that has gone from where he started to where he is now. We've got some really cool points and things to chat about. So let's get started with, I do like a little lightning round of some silly little questions to break the ice here. So let's get started with those first. So first off, when you were younger, which I know a little bit now about how you were when you were younger, but was there anything in particular that you wanted to be besides a nuisance?
The first thing I ever told my mom I wanted to be was a pyrotechnic. That was literally the first career I ever came up with because I loved fireworks and I love blowing shit up. And so I told my mom one day, asked me, like, what do you want to be? And I was like, I want to be a pyrotechnic. And I think I was like 4 or 5 years old at that point. But like fireworks when you're 4 or 5 are fucking cool, right? Like who doesn't want to blow shit up for a living? So maybe someday I still aspire to do that. I don't know.
Nice. I got my good eye on you, Kyle, and starting by it. So then what was your first like W-2 job? Have you ever actually had a W-2 job?
I have. So I started hustling when I was really, really young. So when I was in, I think I was like 7th grade, I would go to the store every morning and you could buy like candy bars 2 for $1. And I would just buy like $10 worth of candy bars and I would take them to school and then I would sell them for $1 a piece. And so every time I sold 2 candy bars, I made $1. And I'd sell like 15 candy bars. I'd make like $15 a day, which was cool. Cause then like after school, I could like go get lunch and buy candy and drink soda and all that dumb shit. So like I started with that, I think when I was in like 7th grade, maybe it was 6th grade. And then by the time I was in 8th grade, still in middle school, I got aligned with a pizza company and the pizza company was paying me 10 cents to hang flyers on doors. And so my friends would come over to my house after school. I would give all of my friends the flyers and I would say, hey guys, go put these out on all these doors and I'll give you 5 cents a flyer. And then I'd hang out and play video games at the house. And every time they put a flyer on a door, I made 5 cents. So like I was brokering shit when I was like 12. So like I started that kind of a thing very, very early.
I love that. You've been a boss forever, Kyle. That is I love it. Okay, so here's a very, very important question. Are you a manual toothbrush guy or a battery-powered toothbrush guy?
Gotta be battery-powered. You can't do the same thing with the brush. And then you like tear your gums apart trying to get in there. No, I'm a battery-powered
ones. I'm up in there. Okay, so that's funny. So you're battery. Are you a night worker or a day worker? Do you do better in the morning or working late at night?
No, my goal is to be home by 6 every day and to not work the weekends. So I do not like the late night shit. I honestly, when I get home from work, I want to put on like some trash reality TV and just like make myself feel better by watching how shitty somebody else's life is. So I watch so much reality TV. It's terrible, but that's like my guilty pleasure.
What's your favorite?
So like right now, there's not a lot of good TV on, but I'll watch like the Real World Road Rules Challenge or whatever. I think it's just called The Challenge now. Right. I watch The Prophet. I watch Gold Rush. I watch Wicked Tuna. I watch Big Brother. I'm a huge Big Brother fan.
I love Big Brother.
Yeah, the one like Bravo show I can get down on with my wife is Southern Charm. So I can get down on that because I know some of the people on there. What else do we watch? It's BattleBots. I used to build robots when I was a kid. So like BattleBots is fun for me to watch.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're a reality guy. All right. So then tell me this, the last one is what's going to be the most unpopular food choice that you have? Like, is there something about food that like, is there a food you don't eat that everybody loves?
Fucking hate pickles. Pickles are disgusting. Like that is the most disgusting food on earth. I despise pickles. I don't like when I order All of them. Like when I order a sandwich and they put a fucking pickle in the like container, I just want to go throw the food in their face. Like, why did you? I did not order a damn pickle. I ordered a sandwich. Give me my sandwich. Keep your pickle. I don't want your fucking pickle. My daughter loves pickles. Like, I don't even want to be around her. She'll eat a pickle. I'm like, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Like, no, we're done. Like, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, I'm not even going to talk to you the rest of the day. Like, because your breath is going to smell like pickles. I'm not into it. I hate pickles.
You're a strange guy.
I am.
So then let's talk real estate. Let's talk real estate.
Yeah.
So whenever I send these little invites out, which I think I missed yours here, but did you answer the question on the invite about the TED Talk? If you had to do a TED Talk tomorrow and you weren't prepared for it, what would be the name of that TED Talk?
I think it was like what it's like to hang with Chauncey Pham. I think is what I wrote.
Yeah, like, I'd be like, Chauncey? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought that's what it was. Give me a real one.
If I did a TED Talk, it's the difference between me and you is that I implement and you don't. I would do something, it would be around implementation. Like that's something that I'm obsessed with is implementation. So it would be centered around that. And it would be something that would be like somewhat offensive. So it would grab people's attention.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So then let's talk then a little bit on implementation. Let's dive into some real estate stuff. So when did you get into the business? What year did you like get licensed in real estate and get going?
Yeah, I got licensed in 2005. So I've been licensed for 15 years now. I did commercial for the first like 5 years or so. I did that with my dad. We did a lot of shopping centers and apartment buildings. And then when condo conversions was like a big thing we did. So we'd sell people apartment buildings, they'd gut them, turn them into individual condos and sell them off one at a time. And they were making a fortune. The problem was the city like shut that down. And so my investors who were all buying all these apartment buildings, they wouldn't buy them anymore because they couldn't convert them into condos. So then my investors are like, well, if I can't convert apartments to condos, I'm just going to go start flipping houses, because at that time was when all the short sales and REOs were popping off. So my investors are like, well, I could go buy this, foreclosed house and I can make 100 grand. I could go buy the short sale house. I can make 100 grand. I was like, you could. And then I looked and I'm like, holy shit, this girl's got like 100 short sales. This guy's got 100 REOs. And I'm sitting here trying to like just eke out one deal every like month or two on the commercial side. And I was like, these guys are doing like a deal a day. And so I just kind of saw the opportunity that if I could shift over into this distressed market, it was the right time to make the move. So I just told Dad, I appreciate everything I learned from you. It's been real, but it's time for me to spread my wings and I'm going to do my own thing on the residential side. So I jumped in straight into like REO and short sale. Like I came in a depressed market, but that's opportunity, right? Because like everybody else freaks out, values start going down. People are like, oh shit, what do? I don't know. And I'm just like, oh, this is easy. Like I just go build relationships with the banks, and then I get to help people hopefully try to avoid foreclosure on the front end of it. And then the people who just bury their head in the sands and get foreclosed on, now I'm going to get those listings on the back end. So I was like, let me just build these bank relationships and I can earn a ton of business, because that's how I did on commercials. I just built relationships with people. And commercial, most people don't own a building. They own like a fucking city, right? They own like every building in the city. So I was used to just building relationships on the commercial side. So when I moved to the residential side, I was like, let me just build these bank relationships. And so that was how I got jump started into residential.
So then did you really ever even have like a struggle story in real estate, or did you kind of like jump in and do pretty good from the very beginning, since you had like your dad and you were on commercial and then you already understood it and understood the relationship building when you came to residential? So like, did you ever have a period where you had like 6 months where you didn't have a sale?
Yeah. So I came in and was guns blazing right out of the gate. So like it was easy in the beginning because there was opportunity. And like, I'm the kind of guy, I don't try to reinvent the wheel. Like when I came in, I was like, all right, who can teach me how to do short sales? And there's a company called Short Sale Genius. So I went to their event. I learned how their coaching program works. So it's like, cool, I'm signing up with them. They taught me how to do short sales. And I was like, all right, I got to do REOs. Where can I learn about REOs? Go to the 5-Star Conference. All right. I don't even know what that fuck 5-Star Conference is. I just know it's in Texas. I'm going to go. And then I got there, built relationships, and REO was great. So it was easy to get up and running. The struggle started when it came time to grow. Because what ended up happening is like, I've always had an assistant since day one. I've literally never worked a day in real estate without having an assistant, because if you don't have one, you are one. But I got to the point it was me and an assistant, and we had all these listings coming in. And I got to the point I was like, I can't handle the listings and all these buyers that are coming in from it. So then I was like, you know what, let me hit my buddy Steve up, who owns a Coldwell Banker office. And just like, this is crazy that I did this. Once a week, I would take all the leads that came in from the week and I would just send them over to him, like batch it one time a week and be like, hey, Steve, here's all the leads we got this week. See if your agents can convert them. And if you convert anything, just throw me a referral fee. Like once a week, right? We know now you can't even go 5 seconds.
Right.
Or somebody else has already jumped on those leads. I was sending them just weekly. So, I mean, these leads didn't even know. And then they didn't even sign up on Steve's Coldwell Banker website. They signed up on my Whissel Realty site. So they didn't even know who the hell these people were that were calling them. Needless to say, nothing ever closed. Like nothing, 0, not 1. So I was like, all right, well, that sucked. Let's try something else. And then I had a couple of friends who were like, oh, I'll take your leads. And I was like, cool, you guys can be part of my brokerage and I'll give you guys the leads. And I gave them all the leads. But we did no systems, no processes, no scripts, no nothing. So they never converted any of the leads. And I was like, well, this fucking sucks. We got to try something else here. So I was sitting around on Black Friday one day, one year, and computers were on sale. We were in like the size of my office right now. It's like a 12 by 12 office. It was just me and my assistant. And then there were computers on sale for like $200 from Dell. And I was just like, fuck it. I bought 10 of them. And so I was like, all right, I got 10 computers and I got like a 12 by 12 office. Like I'm going to need a new office. So I was like, all right, cool. I found an office space and I leased the office space up. And then I was like, all right, I got computers. I got an office. Now I need people. And I hired anybody. Like the way that it was to get a loan, like in the early 2000s, like mirror under the nose, fog it. Here's your money. Like that's how it was to get hired with my company. Like, there you go. Fog this mirror. You can fog it. All right. You're hired. You're part of my team.
You're hired. Right.
Yeah. So like I hired anybody and everybody. I mean, it didn't matter if they were 20 or 120. Like I hired them all.
And this was so that you could have people to like actually close
all those leads.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So the problem is like I'm super, super techy. I know we were talking a little bit before we came on air. Like I was literally hacking computers when I was in middle school. Like I had the FBI coming to my door, talking to my parents to try to figure out why their son has hundreds of people's credit card information on his computer, because I was like hacking computers long before like I was even in high school.
Right.
So like I've always been very techy. And so the problem was like I was trying to build this team out and we were super tech heavy, but I had motherfuckers that couldn't even log into their Gmail account. Like, how am I going to teach you how to like utilize a CRM when you don't even know how to log into your fucking email? Like, it was just bad. So like we were spending way more time on tech support than we were on like actual sales support, because we couldn't even get them to log in. So like it was just a shit show. I easily lost $100,000 that year. Like that was definitely my worst year ever in real estate, because I just hired anybody and everybody. And it was an expensive lesson.
Right, right. You didn't have a plan. You knew that you needed to scale up and you knew you needed people to take on these leads, but you had no plan around it. And you were just like, here's some computers and here's a space. Like, let the magic happen. And it doesn't happen that way. So then let's chat about that, because now you have a large team. You have what, 30 people or so on your team?
Today, yeah.
So I'm finding with being more in this leadership space that it's very difficult with having a team of people and coaching and training people, because they're all coming in at a different skill set. They're all coming at a different level of what they need, yet they all have different expectations of what you need to provide for them. And it's very difficult because it's not a blanket thing that you can give. So how are you managing that with having a team so large? Like how are you making this a system and a process?
Yeah, so I suck at that part of it. That is not my strength.
Yes.
Because because for me, if I say I'm going to do something, like I'm going to do it times 2, right? Like that's just the nature of it. Nothing's going to stop me. Like I don't care if I break my arm or I'm sick or whatever. Like I've shown up, one of the biggest listing appointments I ever went on, I had food poisoning. I had to have somebody drive me to the appointment. I threw up right before we pulled in the driveway, and I threw up right when we pulled out of that fucking driveway. But you better believe I got that listing, right? Like that's how I roll, right? Like nothing's gonna stop me. I don't care. So I've always struggled when somebody, says like, "Oh, I didn't get it done." Oh, well, what happened? It's just kind of an off week. Like, what the fuck is an off week? I don't understand. So I'm not good at that. So I've always had talented people around me to help with that. We actually just brought somebody in out from your area. We have an amazing talent who's joining our team right now that's just purely dedicated to the coaching and the accountability. She's been overseeing 20 offices out there in Texas. So I'm really, really stoked that we knew this was one of the most important positions, because agents do need it. They need that accountability, and they need somebody who's adaptable to help them through these things. So we've hired a headhunter. They found us one of the most amazing talents in the entire country, and she's relocating out here to San Diego to just fill that void for us, because the coaching and accountability is one of the most important things, to sit down with an agent and understand like what's going on in their life and how can I help. Like over the holidays, I had a couple agents who were somewhat detached. I learned the most valuable script as a leader when somebody's detached is just hit them up and say, hey, Chauncey, I haven't seen you on some of the meetings. I just want to check in. Is everything okay? Like the is everything okay script is the most valuable script I found as a leader in like my 15 years of doing this, because I hit 5 people up that day. And I got one was my wife was in a terrible accident and she's bedridden 23 out of 24 hours a day. I got my boyfriend beat the shit out of me and just went to jail. And I was pregnant and I just had a miscarriage. Fuck. Like that's hard. Like that's really hard to deal with.
Right.
So there's a certain type of person who's good at that, and it's not me. Which is why I bring in talent around me to help with that stuff, because that's, if you can coach somebody through some crazy shit like that, like that's how you become their, leader for life, when you can actually help somebody get through those hard times. Because it's easy when you just tell somebody what to do and they go do it and it works, and like, all right, cool, I did that. What do I need to do next? And you tell them, they do it. Like, honestly, that's easy.
Right.
The hard one is, I just had a miscarriage. Like, fuck, I don't, especially for me as a guy, like that's an even harder conversation. So having somebody talented that can have those conversations that's one of the most valuable roles on a team. And it's one of the hardest hires by far, which again is why I knew I couldn't make that hire. I hired one of the best headhunters in the country to go find me one of the best talents in the country. Yeah.
So then let's circle back to your TED Talk. Let's talk exclusively to agents that are finding themselves struggling, because that's probably who's watching this, is someone that found themselves struggling. I have a lot of agents that watch my content, and that's what they're looking for, is some hope. So some
talk about your struggle bus, right?
Yeah. So let's let Kyle put you up on some game. Implementation, man, something that literally it grinds my gears, pisses me off every day, is I have new agents that sit through trainings 6, 7, 8 hours a day, and they think that is work. But then they don't take anything that they have from these trainings and actually implement it. So you're the master implementer. How do they do that? How do they go from point A to point B? And really, how important is the training from a brokerage and things like that? Really looking at it, from our level, like how important is it if you're not even going to do anything with it to begin with? Let's talk.
I mean, real talk is I found a lot of agents, they just want to fill an 8-hour day with whatever they can, right? Like if they fill the full 8 hours, then they are fulfilled. I mean, I'll tell you, I get more done in an 8-hour day than most people get done in a whole week. Probably more than most people get done in a month is what I get done in an 8-hour day. So I don't look at my goal as just to like fill a full 8 hours and like feel like I did something. Like I want to maximize every second of those 8 hours. Like there is no downtime. The second we're done here, I'm jumping into the next meeting, on the next call, on the next coaching session. Like there's zero downtime in my days ever. But I think a lot of other agents, they just want to feel fulfilled by filling up the day, which is a terrible thing to do. So what I found is what agents need to do is have some sort of a system to actually implement, because most agents don't. They'll go to an event, right? They'll go to like a Tom Ferry event, which I love Tom. And you'll go to like a 4-day seminar that he does, his big summit, and you come home with a book this thick, and then you just set the book over in the corner, never to be seen again, right? Like go spend 4 days of your life to all you have to show for it is a book that you're never going to touch and a hangover, right? Like, is that why you went to an event? So most people just don't have a system for what to do after these events or after these trainings or whatever the case may be. So what I recommend is if you're just, let's say you're watching this webinar right now, when this thing's done, like you should have at least 30 minutes blocked off to think about what are the ideas that you heard. What do you actually want to implement from that? If you go to a 4-day event, you need a whole day to go through your notes to figure out what you want to implement. But the key is having a system. So let's keep this really, really simple. There's a system called Trello, Trello. It's free.
Yeah.
And the basic premise of it is you just have 3 columns, a do, a doing, and a done column. So what I want you to do is just take every one of these ideas that pops into your head, whether you heard it on this or you went to a Tom Ferry event or you watched a podcast or a YouTube channel, whatever, take all those ideas and just load this do column up. Like this do column could have 1,000 things in it. That's fine. In the middle is a doing column. And this is the most important column. For most people in real estate, that column should have anywhere from 1 to 5 things in it. That's it. What do most people's doing columns have in them? Because they don't exist, but they have an imaginary doing column. Is they have 1,000 in the doing column, or 1,000 in the do, and 1,000 in the doing. They're trying to do 1,000 things at once, and they end up doing 0 of them. They never get anything to the done column. But they got this really full do, and so they're like, "Oh, I'm doing all these things. It's great." I'm like, what have you actually done? What have you actually implemented into your business? It's nothing. So in the beginning, it's one thing at a time. Like. All you could do, you could have 1,000 things in your do column, but you can only have 1 in doing at a time. And you cannot move on to anything else from that do column until you're done with what's in the doing column. And then you can move it over. Okay, now I got capacity. Now I can slide 1 more over to doing. I can work on this. Once it's done, I can move it over. As you start to get better, as you start to multitask, maybe you start to grow a team. So now you can handle a little bit more at once. Maybe you could have 2, 3, 4, 5 things in that doing column, but never more than 5. No realtor. Like realtors, we're pinballs. We're all over the place. Squirrel, right? We're a mess. So the more that we put in that doing column, the less we're actually going to get done. So I would recommend you start with 1 thing at a time, work your way up. Most people are going to end up in that 3 to 5 range once they get up to scale and are up and running. That's it. No more than that. And you cannot add something else to the doing column until something's moved to the done column. And I think that just that basic system is so valuable. It doesn't cost you any money. You could use Post-it notes. Like you could just have Post-it notes and do it on the wall if that's your jam, whatever you're into. But a doing done board is the easiest way to get started with actually implementing.
Right. I love that. I absolutely love that. And I'm stealing that. I will be doing that. So then for these agents that are in and they haven't joined a team, they're solo, they're trying to get their footing and they just can't wrap their brains around the fact that they are now a CEO and no longer an employee. Let's talk about that because this is something that is near and dear to my heart. And I feel like you will shoot the shit straight, unlike a lot of people. What do you say to these agents that have an expectation of their brokerage or of their team leader to have a responsibility for their success?
Okay. I would say my best advice to anybody who is new, who's watching this, is start on a team. Like you've got to start on a team. Your first 2 years minimum should be on a team. And the reason for that is that this like driving, like you don't learn how to drive by reading like the driver's manual or like watching YouTube videos. Like you learn how to drive by being on the actual road. Right? You don't know what does it feel like to actually turn the wheel until you get behind the wheel. You don't know what it actually feels like to hit the gas pedal or the brake pedal until you get behind the wheel. Real estate's the same thing. You could watch all the videos, you could read all the books, you could do all that stuff, but until you're actually doing deals, you really don't know what the hell you're doing. Well, the fastest way to start doing deals is to be on a team that already has all the systems in place. Like, why try to figure all this shit out on your own? Like, my monthly nut's $175,000 to run my company. Do you want to take on the 175? Like, you probably don't, right? You got to understand that 175, there's been so many trials and tribulations along the way, so many things that we've tested to get to where we are. Why do you want to try to reinvent that? You think you're going to be able to do it better than me? Then I've done this for 15 years and done like over 5,000 deals. Like anybody who thinks that they could go do it on their own, like that's crazy. Let somebody else spend $175,000 a month. Learn from their 15 plus years of experience. They've got the system that's up and running. All you got to do is plug into it. And if you plug into it, you're doing deals, you know, within the first 2 to 3 months, you're making money. Where you could try to do it all on your own and you can make all the mistakes that I've made over the last 15 years, lose a ton of money in the process and close nothing. Or join a team, spend nothing, plug in and start making money immediately. So I recommend everybody start off on a team so you can get some transactions under your belt, see what it feels like to go through a deal. Like right now, it's kind of crazy, right? Like to be working with a buyer, the stress level is higher than it's ever been. even as an agent, stress level. Like, you're not going to experience that reading a book. You're not going to experience it watching a podcast. Like, you're going to experience it when you actually experience it. So people need to get deals under their belt. Like, that's my best advice. If you're watching this and you're newer, like, find the best team. Find the top 3 teams in your market and interview them. And then just find out who aligns with you, your style, your values. Make sure their values align, that it's a fit. Don't just go for who has the best split. You got to make sure that you align with that, right? Because like my biggest lesson was when I had all the wrong people and we didn't mesh and it was a mess. I lost a lot of money. When I actually hired the right people, right? I like 3x'd my business in a year. So being the right fit is so important. But that's my best advice if somebody's new, because now you're going to start doing deals and you might love it on a team and never want to leave. Like, I got my boy Jared, who's been here for 7 years. He's still on my team. He's chosen never to leave. He loves it because he has 0 expenses other than gas. Like, that's his one expense. And Jared makes over $100,000 a year. He doesn't have to figure out like, well, what did Zillow do this week? What did CoreLogic do this week? Like, he doesn't have to worry about any of that. I do all that for him. And I just make the leads rain on him. He just goes out, shows properties, closes, 15, 20 deals a year, makes 100+ G's, and he's happy.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of people who will like that. And then I've got other people who've gone off to grow their own teams and been super successful with that, where they started on my team and now they're building their own teams and I'm supporting them and I'm having a blast watching them grow. So, you could go either path, but I would say 2 years on a team, get 10, 20, 30 deals under your belt. Now you actually know what it's like to be a realtor. And then you can decide, do I want to stay on a team or do I want to do my own thing?
Interesting. That's very interesting. And I hope that doesn't fall right after my video that says why I never did and never would join a team. I literally.
It's going to do that. It's going to be your end screen if you throw this on YouTube.
And I've never been on a team. And when I first got to the business, I was like, yeah, no, I can figure this out on my own. But I am an implementer. I am a self-starter. And then I had a huge background in sales. But I would probably now, being in the position that I am, would have to agree with you that a lot of people have the idea that they want to be a CEO and an entrepreneur. But when it really comes down to it, they can't. They need the accountability. They need the structure. They need to see it. So I would have to say I would have to eat crow on that video at this point and say, I think it would be more beneficial than not for newer agents to join a team. So there you are.
No joke. Check this out. If I moved, like I looked at moving because we're in California and we got to pay, like I'm paying every breath of air I take. There's a tax for that. So like I've looked at moving. And if I moved, like, let's just say Idaho's like a place a lot of people from California move to. Like, if I went to Idaho, if a team would have me, I'd join a team for the first year. I don't think they would, because they know that I would just be trying to learn their secrets and put them out of business. They'd probably be terrified. But I would want to join a team somewhere. Like, I want to learn how their market works. Like, I want to learn how is it different in Idaho than it is in California. The way I'm going to learn it is to do deals in Idaho. If I got to give half my money away, take half the money. I don't care. Like, you show me what works here. You can have half the money. I don't care. Like, that's the thing that's a difference between winners and losers, is like, I don't give a fuck who else is making money. As long as I'm making my money, I'm happy. Where like so many agents are like, oh, well, what's the split? What's the split? I don't care. Do you think I care when I give Zillow 35% on a deal or I give HomeLight 25%? I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Why? Because they've already got this thing down the funnel to me before they've handed it off to me. My conversion rate's through the roof.
Right.
If you want to go and sit there and have to follow up with 500 Facebook leads to get one so that you don't have to pay a referral fee and you could keep all the commission, knock yourself out.
Right.
If I got to give somebody a little bit of money, but I'm getting low-hanging fruit that I can convert quickly, and then I'm going to do a badass job with them to where when they're ready to move again, they're going to use me, plus they're going to tell all their friends about me, like, have half my money. I don't care.
Right.
I'm cool with that.
So it's definitely like a different mindset. So I like that. So before we wrap up here, then just drop a nugget. What would you say if you have a brand new agent, which you have them come in all the time? What do you say? What is the best advice you can give? What do they need to do to become successful? Just drop a nugget for them. For sure. So what I would say is that we have an opportunity to make NFL money in this industry. Right? Like my team did $6 million in GCI. Like that's fucking NFL money. That's elite NFL money. We have that opportunity in this industry, but we have to put in NFL effort. We're not going to make that kind of money if we don't put in the effort. You think about Tom Brady, right? Nobody argues it anymore. He's the best fucking player ever. Tom Brady's 43 years old. He's been in the league for 20 plus years.
he's still the first guy to show up to practice. He's the last guy to leave practice. He's the guy who's putting more time in the film room than anybody. And if you think about an NFL player, they play 16 games a year and they're only on the field half the time. So they're only on the field for like 8 hours a year, but they're putting in 2,000 plus hours of practice for 8 hours of game time a year. But here we are as realtors and we don't want to role play for like 30 minutes a day. Fucking kidding me? Like, that's crazy. If you want to make that kind of money, you got to role play. Like, put the practice in, practice on each other. Chauncey and I should practice with each other before we walk into that $8 million listing appointment. Like, let me make my mistakes with her, not when I'm at the actual appointment. Because Tom Brady doesn't make his mistakes on the field. He makes his mistakes on the practice field. He knows when he shows up to that game, if the other team lines up in this formation, he's got to line up in that formation. He knows if his receiver goes this way, he's got to throw the ball that way. Like, he knows all of that before he ever even gets on the field. So we got to put the practice in. I think too many agents don't put in the practice. Then they shit the bed when they get on the phone or when they show up at the appointment, which is crazy. Or they don't even make the calls because they don't know what to say. So therefore they don't even make a call. So they don't even get to the appointment because they're so scared of making the call because they don't want to look bad, because that's like one of our biggest fears in life is being made to feel stupid. So they're worried about making the call because they're going to feel stupid because they don't know what to say. They don't know what to say because they're not putting in the practice. Right. So if you want to make NFL money, put in NFL effort.
I love it. That was a nugget right there. So how can they get in contact with you? Do you have any like courses? Do you have any like anything that people coaching, like plug yourself, go.
Yeah, for sure. So everything, if you want to get connected with us, go to thewhisselway.com, thewhisselway.com. You can subscribe to our podcast, our YouTube channel are on there. You could join my referral network. Like I said, everybody's leaving California, so we can refer all those people out to you. And then my marketing guy, and I've had a full-time videographer for 6+ years now. We've created thousands of videos, millions of views on those. We do a course where we take everything we've learned over the last 6 years of cranking out videos and condense that down into a 2-day course. It's called Media Mayor Mastermind. So if you want to shortcut your learning curve and crush it in video, just go to thewhisselway.com. You can do all of that fun stuff on there.
Sweet, sweet. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Kyle. Thank you for dropping all of the gems and nuggets. And I'm definitely going to have to get with you offline, maybe do a little bit of training like for my group, because you are a beast. So thank you so much for sharing your story, and we'll be in touch. Thanks guys.
For having me.